Beneath Egypt's golden sands lie secrets more mysterious than the pyramids themselves. Like a lost labyrinth said to contain 3,000 rooms, or a 100-ton granite box carved with impossible precision, its purpose unknown. What else sleeps undiscovered beneath the desert? This is Drift Off 2, where we bring calm stories for curious minds. Tonight, let your thoughts drift beyond the pyramids and into the unknown as we explore the most unexplained mysteries of ancient Egypt. Chapter 1: The Lost Labyrinth, from legend to echoes beneath the sand. In the desert near the Fayoum Oasis, not far from the pyramid of Amenemhat III, ancient texts whisper of something extraordinary, a lost structure more mysterious than the pyramids themselves. A monument not of towering stone, but of shadow and silence, a vast underground complex, a labyrinth. Herodotus, the Greek historian who visited Egypt in the 5th century BCE, claimed to have seen it with his own eyes. He described 12 great courts, over 3,000 chambers, and winding halls so confusing that even the guides would not enter some rooms alone. He said it surpassed anything he had seen in all of Egypt, including the pyramids. Strabo, writing centuries later, confirmed the structure still existed in his time, a ruin already weathered but still immense, and then it disappeared. Today, the site of Hawara appears empty, no walls, no chambers, just a pyramid, some broken stone, and the restless breath of the desert wind. What happened to Egypt's lost labyrinth? Most scholars believe the complex once stood beside the pyramid as part of Amenemhat III's mortuary temple, built around 1800 BCE. Some suggest it symbolized Egypt's 42 provinces, each chamber representing a region. Others believe it was an administrative center or ceremonial palace. But if it existed on such a scale, where did it go? In the 19th century, explorers like Karl Lepsius and Flinders Petrie visited Hawara. Petrie found thick pavements, heavy limestone blocks, and vast foundation stones, traces that suggested a massive superstructure once stood here. But the upper halls and majestic courts described by Herodotus were gone, dismantled perhaps, their stones reused in later buildings, the desert erasing their shape, leaving only fragments behind. But in 2008, something stirred beneath the sand. A Belgian-Egyptian team, working under the name Matahar Expedition, conducted a non-invasive, ground-penetrating radar survey of the site. What they found reignited the mystery. Beneath the surface, they detected geometric patterns, large, structured anomalies buried deep below the desert floor. Massive walls, voids, chamber-like formations arranged in a deliberate architectural grid. To those who studied the scans, it seemed unmistakable. Something artificial lies hidden beneath Hawara. But before a full excavation could begin, their permission was revoked. The Supreme Council of Antiquities dismissed the findings. Reports disappeared. The radar results, once public, were taken offline. Was something found, only to be forgotten again? The desert keeps its secrets well. Whether the labyrinth was real, symbolic, or simply a tale magnified by time, its legend has endured across millennia. And if it truly still lies beneath the sands, untouched, waiting, then the story isn't over. It's just buried. As you close your eyes tonight, picture a chamber beneath the earth, cold stone beneath your fingertips, the flicker of torchlight brushing carved walls, a hallway stretching into darkness. Footsteps echoing from long ago. Was the labyrinth ever real, or is it Egypt's most perfect illusion? A monument not of stone, but of silence, shadow, and the mysteries we long to find. Chapter 2, the Serapeum of Saqqara, the giant stone boxes. No one understands. Beneath the sands of Saqqara, in a hidden network of tunnels cut deep into the bedrock, lies one of the strangest and most puzzling sights in all of ancient Egypt. It is called the Serapeum, a place of darkness and stone, of silence and scale. Here, far from the golden pyramids and open temples, you'll find a row of massive granite sarcophagi, each weighing between 70 and 100 tons, carved from a single block of hard stone, perfectly smooth, sharp-edged, placed into stone niches like offerings to the earth. Most are made of black granite, some of rose granite or basalt. They shine even now, polished so finely you can see your reflection in the walls. But what were they for? The Serapeum is believed to have been the burial place of the Apis bulls, sacred animals chosen from birth, worshipped during their lifetime, and laid to rest in elaborate ritual. The Apis bull was a living symbol of the god Ptah in Memphis, later associated with Osiris in death. Each bull had its own ceremony, its own priesthood, its own role in the temple system. According to conventional archaeology, these granite boxes were their coffins, designed to house the remains of mummified bulls alongside offerings and sacred objects. And indeed, some inscriptions support this view. Cartouches of pharaohs like Ramesses II are carved into certain niches. The Serapeum itself was likely used from the 18th dynasty onward, with the grand subterranean galleries being excavated during the reign of Pharaoh Psamtik in the 26th dynasty. But here's where the mystery deepens, because most of these boxes, precise, colossal, and heavy beyond reason, bear no inscriptions at all, no decoration, no clear indication of who or what was placed inside. And when some were opened, they were found empty. So why build such massive containers, with such precision, for nothing? How were they carved, transported, and lowered into position? Even today, with modern tools and cranes, moving a 100-ton object through narrow tunnels cut into solid rock would be a serious engineering challenge. In the 1990s, engineer and researcher Christopher Dunn measured the interior of one of the boxes. He found the surfaces to be flat within microscopic tolerances, the kind of precision used in modern manufacturing. He suggested that this craftsmanship would be difficult to achieve even with today's equipment. Were the ancient Egyptians really doing this with copper chisels and sand? Mainstream scholars say yes. Given enough time, skilled labor, and abrasive materials, such work is possible, and perhaps it is. But the consistency and geometry of these boxes continues to raise eyebrows, especially among engineers who work with stone today. And so, other ideas begin to surface. Some propose that the boxes were never meant for bulls, but for something else. Perhaps energy devices, or chambers for sound resonance, or something far older than Egypt as we know it. These are speculative theories, unproven, unaccepted by academia, but they remind us how little we truly understand about ancient intent. Even Napoleon's expedition noted the Serapeum's strange construction when it was rediscovered in the 19th century. Long tunnels, vaulted ceilings, boxes so large they had to be lowered in place during excavation before the galleries were complete. Some boxes remain sealed to this day, untouched, undisturbed, resting quietly in the cool dark of these underground chambers. Whether they held sacred bulls, forgotten artifacts, or something else entirely, we don't yet know, but what we can say is this: the Serapeum was no ordinary burial site. It was a place of extraordinary effort, of deliberate design, and perhaps of ancient knowledge we've yet to fully grasp. Let your thoughts drift down into those echoing halls. Picture the great granite boxes, still silent and perfect, lying beneath the earth, and wonder what truths they were built to hold, and what mysteries they still keep. Chapter 3. The Pyramid Code. Mathematical Secrets in Stone. For thousands of years, the Great Pyramid of Giza has stood like a silent sentinel, precise, massive, and strangely enigmatic. It's more than just a monument. It's a riddle in limestone, a structure that seems to hum with numbers and patterns, as if whispering ancient truth just beyond our grasp. While the traditional view sees it as a royal tomb, many researchers, both mainstream and alternative, believe the pyramid may encode something more, a hidden knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and the Earth itself. The pyramid's proportions are uncanny. Each side of its base originally measured about 230 meters, and the difference between the longest and shortest side is less than 20 centimeters, a level of precision nearly impossible without advanced tools. If you take the perimeter of the base and divide it by twice the pyramid's height, the result comes astonishingly close to pi, 3.1416. Some also point out that multiplying the pyramid's height by 43,200 yields a number remarkably close to the polar radius of the Earth, and that the base length multiplied by the same number comes close to Earth's equatorial circumference. Are these just numerical coincidences, or did the pyramid's designers intentionally encode these ratios, knowing something about planetary measurements long before the tools of modern science existed? Mainstream Egyptologists tend to favor the former. They argue that the values arise naturally from the pyramid's slope, and that there's no evidence the ancient Egyptians thought in terms of pi or used it consciously in design. But others aren't so sure. They point to the pyramid's perfect cardinal alignment, facing true north with a deviation of less than 0.05 degrees, as yet another sign that its builders understood something deeper about the world's geometry. Inside the pyramid, the mystery continues. The Grand Gallery, with its sloping ceiling and corbelled walls, feels more like an engineered corridor than a ceremonial one. The King's Chamber is built entirely of massive granite blocks, weighing up to 80 tons each, and the chamber resonates acoustically in a way that some say is more than accidental. Some suggest it could have been designed for sound, vibration, or even energy, although no definitive purpose has ever been confirmed. Then there's the void discovered in 2017 by the Scan Pyramids project, a large sealed cavity above the Grand Gallery, never before accessed and still unexplored. Its function is unknown, its presence another question. If there is a code embedded in the pyramid, a set of mathematical or astronomical messages carved into its stone, we haven't fully cracked it, and perhaps we never will. But even the possibility that such knowledge was hidden within the pyramid's perfect geometry is enough to inspire awe. As you relax into quiet now, picture the pyramid standing tall beneath a moonlit sky. Its sides worn by centuries, its stones still holding secrets. The wind brushes softly against its face, and beneath all that mass and silence, something else lingers, the quiet rhythm of numbers. A message in shape and scale, a riddle in stone. Chapter 4. The Dendera. Light, ancient electricity or symbolic art. Deep within the temple of Hathor at Dendera, carved into the stone walls of a hidden crypt, is an image that has puzzled scholars and captivated theorists for decades. The carving shows a strange object, an elongated bulb-shaped vessel with a serpent emerging from its center, supported by a pillar and attended by human-like figures. To the casual observer, it resembles something oddly familiar, a modern light bulb. This depiction, known as the Dendera light, has sparked one of the most enduring debates in alternative archaeology. Some researchers argue that this image is proof that the ancient Egyptians possessed a form of electrical technology, that they may have discovered ways to generate or manipulate light, perhaps using rudimentary batteries similar to the Baghdad battery found in Mesopotamia. They point to the lack of soot on the ceilings of tombs and inner chambers, suggesting that torches may not have been the primary source of illumination. Could the Egyptians have harnessed something more advanced, a kind of light unknown to modern historians? Mainstream Egyptologists, however, offer a more grounded interpretation. They explain that the image is part of a well-known mythological motif, the creation story of the lotus flower and the god Harsomtus. The bulb is not a light bulb, but a stylized lotus. The serpent represents the rising god. The pillar is the Djed, a symbol of stability. In this view, the carving is a symbolic representation of birth, energy, and divine renewal, not an ancient blueprint for electricity. The room itself adds to the intrigue. The Dendera crypts are not open to the public and are located deep within the temple's foundations. They were designed as sacred spaces, used only by priests for secret rituals and initiations. The carvings here are complex, mythic, and unlike much of the temple's public art. That isolation, combined with the unfamiliar imagery, has fed speculation and mystery. But no evidence of ancient Egyptian light technology has ever been discovered. No filaments, no wires, no lenses or conductors. And while ancient texts speak of divine light, sacred fire, and heavenly radiance, these are understood in a spiritual, not technological context. Still, the carving continues to fascinate, not just because of its shape, but because it lies at the crossroads of belief and imagination. Was it an allegory for divine illumination, or a record of forgotten science? Were the Egyptians merely symbolic in their thinking, or were they encoding something more? We may never know for sure, but the image remains, etched in stone, flickering across centuries like a riddle lit from within. As you rest now, picture that dark chamber beneath the Temple of Hathor. Cool air, heavy with silence. A flicker of torchlight revealing a carving that seems both ancient and strangely modern. A symbol. A question. A light that still glows, if only in the mind. Chapter 5. The Tomb of Osiris. A gate to the underworld. Beneath the Giza Plateau, near the western edge of the causeway that once led to Khafra's pyramid, lies a shaft. Quiet, overgrown, and easy to overlook. But beneath this unassuming entrance is one of the most enigmatic subterranean structures in all of Egypt. First excavated in the 1990s by archaeologist Zahi Hawass, the shaft descends more than 30 meters into the limestone bedrock. At its lowest level is a large chamber partially filled with water, and at its center, resting on a raised stone island, sits a massive granite sarcophagus, empty, uninscribed, and surrounded by silence. This mysterious complex has been nicknamed the Tomb of Osiris, named after the ancient god of the underworld. In Egyptian mythology, Osiris was buried deep beneath the earth, in a chamber surrounded by water, a description that eerily mirrors what was uncovered here. The structure is composed of multiple levels. The top levels contain small rock-cut rooms and passageways, while the lowest chamber, the so-called tomb, is unlike anything else on the Giza Plateau. Hawass has suggested that the site was a symbolic tomb, not the actual burial place of Osiris, but a cenotaph, a ritual space used for ceremonies linked to death, rebirth, and divine transformation. The water-filled shaft, the isolated island, and the unmarked sarcophagus all hint at a sacred purpose, tied to the mythic journey from death to renewal. But others aren't so sure. Some believe this structure predates dynastic Egypt entirely, part of a forgotten phase of civilization. Others argue that the design suggests more than ritual, perhaps a secret burial or an underground temple. The lack of inscriptions only deepens the mystery. Unlike most royal tombs, this site offers no names, no titles, no clear connections to a pharaoh or a known era. And yet, the precision of the stonework, the symbolism, and the sheer depth of the chamber imply something significant. Skeptics point to the absence of definitive evidence. No burial goods, no hieroglyphs, no artifacts that would confirm its purpose. And yet, the structure's resemblance to the Osiris myth and its location beneath one of the most sacred landscapes in Egypt continues to fuel speculation. Why would such a monumental effort be made for a chamber so inaccessible, so hidden? As you close your eyes tonight, picture yourself descending that stone staircase, deeper into the earth, into stillness and shadow. The air grows cooler, the light fades. At the bottom, water glistens softly around a dark stone island. In its center, a sarcophagus rests, untouched, unclaimed, and waiting. Is it a gate to the underworld, or a doorway into a forgotten chapter of history? Chapter 6. The Strange Boxes of Abu Rawash. Just a few kilometers north of the Giza Plateau lies a lesser-known archaeological site called Abu Rawash. At first glance, it appears unremarkable. A collection of ruins, scattered stones, and the remnants of an unfinished pyramid attributed to Pharaoh Djedefre, son of Khufu. But nearby, something far more unusual has puzzled researchers for decades. A set of massive, finely cut stone boxes. These are not typical sarcophagi. They are heavy, precisely shaped, and made from incredibly hard stone like basalt and diorite. Some are partially buried, others exposed to the elements, but all seem to share one thing. They appear far more advanced than what is typically associated with Egypt's 4th dynasty. The boxes are enormous. Some weigh tens of tons and exhibit a level of craftsmanship that borders on the extraordinary. Their interiors are smooth, their angles exact. The surfaces bear no tool marks consistent with the copper chisels and pounding stones traditionally used by Egyptian builders. To modern engineers and stonemasons, the finish suggests machining, precision work that would normally require diamond tools or industrial cutting technology. Yet, these artifacts are thousands of years old, and no advanced tools have ever been found at the site. Mainstream scholars have proposed more grounded explanations. Some argue that the boxes were storage containers for ritual items, perhaps never completed or abandoned during construction. Others believe they were components of a failed architectural project, part of the Djedefre pyramid complex that was left unfinished due to political or logistical challenges. But even these explanations leave questions unanswered. Why go to such lengths to shape such hard stone so precisely, only to leave the boxes unused? Why build them far away from the pyramid's central axis? Alternative researchers have been quick to suggest more provocative theories. Some see the boxes as remnants of a lost advanced civilization, survivors of a pre-dynastic age whose technology far surpassed what we understand. Others propose that they served as energy devices, resonance chambers, or containers for unknown forms of power. There is no evidence to support these claims, but the mystery remains potent because conventional explanations do not fully satisfy. There are no inscriptions on the boxes, no hieroglyphs, no dedications, no context. Just immense silent blocks of stone, shaped with a purpose that is no longer clear. Were they ceremonial, functional, symbolic, or something we've yet to imagine? As you drift towards sleep, imagine the wind whispering across a quiet stretch of desert, the sun low in the sky, and resting there in the sand, a black granite box, smooth as glass, heavy with silence. Not forgotten, but waiting, unused, unexplained, and still, after thousands of years, unmoved. Chapter 7. The Bent Pyramid: Geometry, Acoustics, and Purpose. In the desert of Dashur, just south of Cairo, stands a monument unlike any other in Egypt, the Bent Pyramid. At first glance, it appears similar to other pyramids of the Old Kingdom, rising from the sands with a familiar triangular silhouette. But look closer, and you'll notice something strange. The angle of the pyramid shifts partway up. The lower section climbs steeply, then suddenly tapers into a gentler slope, giving the entire structure a distinct, almost unfinished appearance. This unusual shape has puzzled researchers for centuries. Built during the reign of Pharaoh Snefru, around 2600 BCE, the Bent Pyramid is believed to be one of Egypt's earliest attempts at a smooth-sided pyramid, a step forward from the stepped designs of earlier tombs. The traditional view holds that the builders began with too steep an angle, perhaps around 54 degrees, and later reduced it to about 43 degrees to prevent structural collapse. Evidence of cracks and instability within the core supports this theory. It's thought that lessons learned here influenced the construction of the more stable Red Pyramid nearby, also commissioned by Sneferu. But others believe the pyramid's shape was intentional from the start. Some suggest it symbolized the fusion of earth and sky, or reflected duality in ancient Egyptian cosmology, a merging of the physical and spiritual worlds. There's no definitive evidence to support this idea, but the ancient Egyptians were known to encode meaning into every element of their sacred architecture. To them, form and function were inseparable from myth and belief. Inside the Bent Pyramid, the intrigue deepens. Unlike most pyramids, it has two entrances, one on the north face and another on the west. Each leads to a separate internal chamber, and the two chambers are connected by a passage deep within the core. The walls are steep, the ceilings corbelled, the spaces narrow and silent. But what truly sets the interior apart is its acoustics. Visitors and researchers have noted how sound lingers strangely within the chambers. Some frequencies resonate for seconds. Tones seem to shift and echo in ways that feel almost deliberate, almost musical. Could this have been part of the design, a tool for ritual, a way to connect the voice of the living with the silence of the gods? There are no inscriptions inside the Bent Pyramid, no decorative reliefs, no names carved in stone, only geometry, only space. And yet, the design feels purposeful, as if the structure itself was meant to communicate something beyond words. As you rest tonight, imagine walking up to the foot of this strange monument as the sun sets across the Dashur plain. The wind brushes the sand in soft spirals, the air cools, and before you rises a shape unlike any other, bent, balanced, and timeless, a monument that seems to speak not only to the past, but to the questions we still ask. Chapter 8. The Hidden Hieroglyphs of the Great Pyramid. The Great Pyramid of Giza is perhaps the most studied monument on Earth, and yet it remains one of the most silent. Unlike many tombs and temples throughout Egypt, the Pyramid of Khufu contains no grand inscriptions, no decorative reliefs, no painted scenes of gods or kings. For centuries, scholars searched its passageways and chambers in awe and in confusion. How could a structure of such scale and ambition offer so little explanation? But hidden deep within the pyramid, in a space never meant to be seen by human eyes, something unexpected was found. In 1837, British explorer Colonel Howard Vyse forced his way into a series of small chambers located directly above the king's chamber. These were the relieving chambers, designed to distribute the enormous weight of stone above. Inside, amidst the dust and darkness, Vyse discovered something extraordinary: red-painted markings on the stone blocks. They were rough, hurried, and incomplete, but unmistakable. Hieroglyphs, quarry marks, and most importantly, cartouches, ovals enclosing royal names. Among them was the name of Khufu. This single detail provided the first physical confirmation that the pyramid was built under Khufu's reign, around 2560 BCE. Until then, Egyptologists had relied on historical texts like those of Herodotus and stylistic comparisons. But now, there was direct evidence, a name written by the very workers who hauled the stones, scrawled onto the blocks before they were set in place, not for ceremony, not for glory, but as part of a working system, a living construction site. To mainstream scholars, these marks are no mystery. They were left by labor crews, often named after deities or pharaohs, as part of an internal organization. Such marks have been found in other Old Kingdom structures and quarries. They were never meant to be seen once construction was complete. But to others, these hidden hieroglyphs raise questions. Why would the only writing in the entire Great Pyramid appear in a sealed space, accessible only by force nearly 4,500 years later? Why not carve Khufu's name into the entrance, or the burial chamber, as was common elsewhere? More controversially, some fringe theorists have claimed that the markings may be forgeries. Vyse, they argue, was under pressure to make a major discovery. His records are inconsistent, and his methods, which included blasting into the structure with gunpowder, have drawn criticism. Could he have painted the cartouches himself to secure fame and funding? Most experts strongly reject this idea. The markings are consistent with other known quarry marks of the period, and there's no compelling evidence of fraud, but the mere suggestion has added fuel to the ongoing debate over who built the pyramids, and how. In recent years, the mystery has deepened again. In 2017, the Scan Pyramids project used particle detectors to uncover a large, previously unknown void above the Grand Gallery, a space the size of an aircraft hangar. Its purpose is still unknown. No one has entered it, and once again, the Great Pyramid has reminded us that it still holds secrets. As you drift into rest, imagine those dark, narrow chambers above the King's Chamber, filled with silence, with dust, with markings left by hands long gone, a name written in red, a whisper from the builders, a hidden signature inside a monument that still watches the sky. Chapter 9: The Unfinished Obelisk, a monument frozen in time. In the granite quarries of Aswan, surrounded by sunlight and silence, lies a monument that was never completed and never forgotten. Carved directly into the bedrock, partially detached and exposed to the open sky, rests the unfinished obelisk. If completed, it would have been the largest obelisk ever raised in ancient Egypt, over 40 meters in length and weighing an estimated 1,000 tons. But a deep crack running through the stone brought the project to a halt, and the massive column was left exactly where it was, still attached to the earth that shaped it. This obelisk tells a story not of triumph, but of process. It offers a rare glimpse into the methods and ambitions of ancient Egyptian stoneworkers. Along its sides, you can still see the marks of tools, small divots where dolerite pounding stones were used to chip away at the granite. Trenches around the base reveal how workers would have isolated the obelisk from the bedrock before smoothing and polishing the final surface. Nothing was hidden, nothing was finished, and that's precisely what makes it so valuable. Unlike the polished perfection of temples and tombs, the unfinished obelisk reveals the labor that made such grandeur possible. It shows us the in-between, the stage between vision and realization. Archaeologists believe it was commissioned during the reign of Queen Hatshepsut, one of Egypt's most powerful rulers, known for her ambitious building projects and towering obelisks. Perhaps this one was destined for Karnak, to stand in sunlight beside its twin. But it cracked, and so it remained. There is something haunting about its presence. The stone is vast and silent, yet intimate. You can walk along its length, trace the lines left by chisels, and imagine the sound of hammers striking day after day. There are no inscriptions on it, no finished polish, just weight, intention, and abandonment. Questions remain. How did the Egyptians plan to move such a massive structure once it was freed? How did they transport obelisks of similar size across the Nile, then stand them upright with such precision? We have theories about sledges, lubrication, ramps, and counterweights, but no definitive answers. The unfinished obelisk freezes those questions in stone. As you rest tonight, picture the quiet quarry bathed in early morning light, the granite still warm from the sun, dust settling in the windless air, and at the heart of it all, a sleeping giant, too heavy to lift, too perfect to forget, and too ancient to explain. A monument not to completion, but to the enduring mystery of intention. Chapter 10. The Mystery of the Fayum Portraits. Faces from the Forgotten. In the fertile oasis of the Fayum region, just beyond the Nile's reach, and nestled between ancient tombs and golden sand, archaeologists uncovered something unexpected, something haunting, beautiful, and deeply human. Painted onto wooden panels, attached to the faces of mummified bodies, were portraits. Not stylized images of gods or pharaohs, but intimate depictions of ordinary people, men and women, children, elders, their expressions calm, their eyes deep and watchful. These are the Fayum mummy portraits, faces frozen in time, painted nearly 2,000 years ago during Egypt's Greco-Roman period. What makes these portraits so striking is their realism. Unlike the symbolic, idealized images found in traditional Egyptian tombs, these paintings are naturalistic, vivid, and personal. Each face is unique. You can see subtle differences in age, emotion, and character. Some wear gold jewelry or laurel wreaths, others plain robes. Some look out with quiet confidence. Others appear solemn, contemplative, or even wistful. They do not speak, but they seem to remember. Most were created using a technique called encaustic painting, where pigment is mixed with hot wax and applied to wood. The result is rich and luminous, with colors that have survived centuries in the dry Egyptian climate. Others were painted using tempera, a method combining pigment with egg or water. The craftsmanship is astonishing. Artists use fine brushes to render eyelashes, curls of hair, and the soft gradient of a cheek in the half-light. And yet, despite their beauty, almost none of these people are named. Few inscriptions remain. We don't know their occupations, their families, their beliefs. We only have their faces. They lived and died during a period of great cultural blending, a time when Egyptian, Greek, and Roman traditions intertwined. Their burial practices reflect that mix. Mummification endured, but the artistic style changed. The gods remained in tomb carvings, but here in the portraits, the human soul took center stage. Were these portraits painted during life and displayed in the home, only to be placed on the mummy at death? Or were they created shortly after passing, crafted by artists who may never have met the subjects? Scholars are still unsure. What we do know is that they represent one of the earliest and most poignant traditions of personal remembrance, a desire to be seen, to be known, to be remembered beyond the body's decay. Today, the Fayum portraits are scattered across museums and private collections around the world. Their original resting places have mostly vanished, and yet, their eyes still meet ours, across centuries, across cultures. across silence. As you settle into stillness, imagine a quiet tomb cut into the desert rock, a single painted face illuminated by a shaft of dusty light. Not a king or a warrior, just a person watching, waiting, whispering that they were here, that they mattered, that someone once loved them enough to capture their likeness and preserve it forever. Chapter 11. The Shining Ones of Abydos. Gods, symbols, or something else. In the ancient city of Abydos, one of Egypt's oldest and most sacred sites, the walls of the Temple of Seti I are covered in stories. Stories of gods, kings, rituals, and divine lineage, carved in precise relief, faded slightly by time, but still powerful. But high above one of the temple's lintels, nestled within a panel of eroded and overlapping hieroglyphs, is a set of images that has drawn far more attention than most. They seem to resemble something deeply out of place, something unmistakably modern. To some eyes, the carvings look like machines, a helicopter, a submarine, a tank, a jet. Shapes not typically associated with pharaohs or the afterlife. Photographs of the panel have circulated widely, often labelled the Abydos helicopter or ancient UFOs. For those drawn to ancient astronaut theories, these images offer tantalizing clues that the Egyptians had access to advanced technology, or even contact with visitors from beyond our world. But Egyptologists offer a simpler explanation. These carvings are believed to be a palimpsest, a layering of inscriptions that occurred when the original texts, created under Pharaoh Seti III, were later overwritten by his son Rameses II. Over time, as the plaster filling between layers eroded, the overlapping symbols formed new shapes, strange accidental silhouettes that now resemble vehicles and devices we know today. There's no evidence that they were meant to represent technology. Instead, they may be the result of natural wear and centuries of shifting materials. Still, the mystery persists. Even knowing the scholarly explanation, it's difficult to look at the images and not feel something stir. The outlines are oddly precise, the resemblance uncanny. Could it really be just coincidence, or was there some symbolic or astronomical meaning that we've simply misinterpreted? In Egyptian art, symbolism runs deep. Wings, serpents, stars, and discs often represent abstract ideas, protection, divinity, rebirth. Shapes we might associate with machines could, in their context, mean entirely different things. They might be metaphors for movement, for the soul's journey, or for the power of the gods. But we're drawn to patterns. And when we see something familiar in something ancient, our imaginations awaken. Perhaps that's part of the magic of places like Abydos. They contain layers of meaning, spiritual, historical, accidental. They invite us to look, to wonder, and sometimes to question the limits of what we think we know. So as you drift into stillness, picture yourself walking through the temple's shadowed halls. The air is cool, the stones smooth beneath your fingertips. A faint beam of light reveals a set of markings above you, worn, mysterious, oddly familiar. Are they only erosion, or are they something more? Whatever they are, they endure, carved into sacred walls, speaking in silence to anyone who dares to look up and wonder. Chapter 12. The Star Maps of Sin-en-Mut, Astronomy or Myth. Beneath the sandstone cliffs of Deir el-Bahari lies the tomb of a man named Sen-en-Mut, a royal architect, scholar, and trusted official of Queen Hatshepsut. Though not a king, his tomb bears some of the most remarkable celestial artwork in all of ancient Egypt. Painted onto the ceiling of one of its chambers is what many believe to be a star map, a sprawling depiction of the night sky as it may have looked thousands of years ago. It is beautiful, and it is mysterious. The artwork is divided into two parts, a northern and a southern sky, each adorned with constellations, stars, lunar phases, and even the paths of certain planets. Above it all is the goddess Nut, arching across the heavens, swallowing the sun at dusk, and giving birth to it again at dawn. This was not simply decoration, it was cosmology, a sacred map of time and space intertwined with mythology. What makes Senenmut's star map unique is the possibility that it reflects a real astronomical event. Some researchers have argued that the planetary alignments shown on the ceiling, particularly the placement of Jupiter, Saturn, Mercury and Venus, may represent an actual configuration that occurred around 1534 BCE. If true, this suggests the ancient Egyptians were not just myth-makers, but keen observers of the sky, tracking planetary cycles and recording them with surprising accuracy. We know they watched the stars. The rising of Sirius marked the annual flooding of the Nile. The alignment of temples with solar events speaks to their astronomical awareness, but Senenmut's ceiling raises deeper questions. Was this just a ritual calendar or an observational record? Did they see the cosmos the way we do, as a system of orbits and patterns, or as a divine tapestry where each star held not just a place, but a spirit? There are no written explanations left behind, no commentary detailing the purpose of the chart. Some scholars view it as mythic symbolism rooted in stories of gods and creation. Others see it as a functional tool, a map used to navigate the sky or guide the soul after death. Still others wonder whether this was a merging of both, science and spirit entwined in paint and plaster. What is certain is that Senenmut was no ordinary man. Rising from humble origins to become steward of the royal family, he designed some of Egypt's most iconic monuments. His interest in the heavens was more than decorative. It was intentional, personal, perhaps even devotional. As you rest tonight, imagine the cool silence of that tomb chamber. Above you, a painted sky glimmers with ancient stars. The breath of time feels still, and you, like Senenmut long ago, are left gazing upward, wondering not just what the stars are, but what they mean. Chapter 13. The Book of Thoth, a lost knowledge hidden in legend. In the shadowed corners of Egyptian myth, there is said to be a book unlike any other, a sacred text so powerful that it could grant divine wisdom, open the gates of the afterlife, and even control the forces of nature. This was the Book of Thoth, named after the ibis-headed god of writing, wisdom, and magic. The book was believed to contain all the secrets of the heavens and the earth. To possess it was to know the language of the gods, and to risk the wrath that came with such knowledge. According to ancient stories, Thoth himself authored the book and hid it deep within the Nile. It was sealed in a series of nested boxes, one gold, one silver, one bronze, guarded by serpents and protected by spells. In time, a mortal man, a prince named Neferkaptah, defied the gods and stole it, and for a moment he held its power. But the gods punished him. His wife and child died. His joy turned to sorrow, and the book was returned, buried with him in a tomb lost to history. The legend doesn't end there. Later versions tell of another man, even more ambitious, who tried to recover the book, only to meet the same fate. To read the Book of Thoth was to risk madness. To speak its words was to tempt the divine. Some said it could raise the dead, command the elements, or reveal the hidden names of the gods. But none who touched it ever thrived. Was the Book of Thoth real? Most scholars believe it was myth, a symbolic representation of divine knowledge, never a physical scroll. Others think it may refer to actual texts once kept in temple libraries, written by priests over centuries and destroyed or lost over time. It's even possible that elements of the legend survived through Hermeticism, a later philosophical movement that blended Greek and Egyptian ideas, with Thoth becoming Hermes Trismegistus, the source of the so-called Hermetic texts. Throughout history, seekers of hidden knowledge have searched for Thoth's book, not just in Egypt, but in alchemy, astrology, and mysticism. They've believed it might live on in secret manuscripts, coded symbols, or buried vaults. But like so many ancient riddles, the truth remains elusive. The story is a mirror, reflecting what we most desire: understanding, power, transcendence, and what we most fear, that we are not ready for it. As you fall into rest, imagine a forgotten temple buried beneath the sands. In its deepest chamber, wrapped in silence and shadow, rests a scroll that no hand dares open. A book not made of pages, but of meaning. Not ink, but intention. A whisper from the gods, waiting for a reader who may never come. Chapter 14. The Mystery Endures. Egypt's Unfinished Story. From the towering pyramids of Giza to the hidden tombs beneath the sand, ancient Egypt continues to whisper through time, not just in stone or myth, but in mystery. For every monument unearthed, another lies buried. For every answer revealed, a dozen questions take its place. The deeper we dig, the more we realize how much remains hidden, how much has been lost to wind and time. This land was shaped by silence, rituals performed beneath flickering torchlight, priests and builders whose names have faded, though their work still stands, kings and queens who spoke to gods, who carved their stories into temple walls, believing that memory could last forever. And yet, the echoes remain. A chamber sealed deep within the Great Pyramid, a ceiling painted with stars that once guided a soul's passage into eternity, a carving that resembles modern machines, a number that mirrors the shape of our planet. Are these coincidences or glimpses of something deeper? Knowledge woven into stone by minds attuned not only to the physical world, but to the divine? The ancient Egyptians measured the heavens, charted the flooding of the Nile, aligned their monuments with stars. But they did not separate science from spirit. To them, the sun was not only a celestial body, it was the god Ra, reborn each dawn. The stars were not distant lights, but beings who watched, who guided, who told the story of time itself. Their world was one of balance, of ma'at, where order, truth, and harmony were not just ideals, but the fabric of existence. Perhaps that's what draws us back. Not just the architecture, not just the mystery, but the feeling that the people who lived here understood something we've almost forgotten. That to build is not just to measure, but to honor. That to observe the stars is to be part of them. That legacy is not carved in stone alone, but in the intention behind it. As you settle now into rest, imagine the wind moving softly across the desert, the sky deep and endless above the darkened ruins, the Sphinx quiet beneath the stars, the Nile still flowing as it has for thousands of years. Somewhere beneath that sky, the next mystery sleeps, the next question waits. Egypt is not finished. Its story is still unfolding, and perhaps always will be. So, what do you think? Were these ancient mysteries simply stories carved in stone, or clues to a forgotten knowledge that still lingers in the sands of time? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your theories or favorite Egyptian enigma in the comments below. If the wonders of ancient Egypt stirred your curiosity, don't miss our next journey into another fascinating chapter of human history. And if you enjoyed drifting off with us tonight, please give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and tap the bell so you'll never miss a new discovery. Until then, sleep well, dream deeply, and keep wondering.